So I guess my first question, obviously, it was a little bit of a closer game than yesterday. Army stuck with you guys until probably the last like 5 or so minutes. Um, did you notice any adjustments that they made that helped them make it closer, or do you think they just kind of were hitting more shots?
No, the ironic part is they did pretty much the same thing that they did yesterday. We just decided to play it differently. And by we, I mean the 5 players on the floor. When we talked about it this morning, we said we did a great job, adjust like the way we adjusted our defense, and we weren't bumping, and then they were a little bit more aggressive off the dribble, and we got beat off the bounce more, and then we were helping. We had 2 people on the ball. It was just like it felt a little bit like we were in the twilight zone. So I was like, that's funny, because yesterday when we guarded it like this, it was pretty effective, especially first half, 9 points. And today we already gave up like 3 threes in the first half. Or maybe even they finished with 6. I think they had 5 threes in the first half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So which, it was unacceptable, because, that's what they want to do. And yesterday we did a really good job of closing up the lanes and then being there on the catch. So we talked this morning, and I mentioned to you guys yesterday, like fighting human nature. You know what I mean? Like, you win a game by 40 points. Ultimately, you think like, oh, we're good, but we still have work to do. You still have to earn it every single possession, and so sometimes you need reminders. I'm glad we got the win, but I think that our kids understand, hey, these back-to-backs are hard. It's nice to be at home, but we can't take anyone lightly, and you can't take possessions off.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I wanted to ask 2 questions specifically about Marin, because she, on the box score, in a lot of ways, she had a great game today. She had, I think, 13 and 8, like made a lot of shots, really like led the way on the glass. You guys dominated the glass in this game. And then on the other end, she fouled out. So I guess I'll start with the fouling, because that sometimes has been a concern with her in a couple of games dating back to like the end of last year. What part of the learning curve is she at with knowing what to do and how aggressive to be at different points?
Yeah, I mean, I think her youth at times still shows. I think when we go against aggressive teams, I think in her mind, trying to match that aggression, sometimes it comes out in the form of fouls. Or teams that are, this is a tough matchup for her, the way that they play, because there's a 5-out system with a lot of movement, where she's not matched up against a traditional post player who maybe she has to guard out to like, the elbow area, but she doesn't really have to guard outside the perimeter. Excuse me. And so with all that movement, we're still working on her lateral quickness and her ability to kind of anticipate where people are going, and then not like throw her hips in there or throw her arms down. I think she doesn't always understand how valuable she is to us on the floor. I take that back. She understands how valuable she is, but in the moment, she thinks she's going to be able to get there, and then it unfortunately results in a foul, and now that puts us in a tough spot. And I told her after the game, I said, listen, you have to realize just how valuable you are, right? Like, we're a much better team when you're on the floor, just because of all the different things that she can do. And she just really, she commands so much attention. So even if she's not getting the ball, they have to help inside, and then opens up the perimeter for our shooters.
Yeah. And then, I mean, on the other end too, she, like, I feel like this year she's been so much more consistent offensively, like just the way she's able to kind of create her space inside, do a great job on the glass. Where do you think has been her biggest development through the first 9 games of this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think, at the beginning of the year, I felt like we had maybe taken a little bit of a step back from last year, because she was so dominant towards the end of the season, and her confidence was really high. And then, we didn't have the non-conference, and it was a little start and stop, a little choppy. And a lot of stuff we were running was more guard oriented at the beginning of the year. And, I made some adjustments so that we could try to get her and Riley some touches, some high-low stuff to really take advantage of her and Riley's abilities inside, and even Emily's abilities inside. Excuse me. And so I think you saw that tonight with their post-to-post passing to each other. That's a great option for us. And if they suck the defense in, then we can skip to shooters. And so I think she's really starting to understand, as the season goes on, feeling even more comfortable about her footwork and her positioning, and how she can get, in a position to score and get us an easy bucket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then thinking about this kind of stretch for you guys, obviously you're 2 games into 7 games in 15 days, which is another crazy addition to this schedule. How much have you thought about what you're going to be doing in terms of managing minutes down the stretch just to keep people like energized and ward off injury and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think, yesterday was great for us because we got up so much that we were able to play a lot of our younger guys who haven't gotten as many minutes. And I was hoping today we'd get an opportunity to do that again, but the game went the way the game went, and you got to go with your veterans and the players who kind of you trust. And so, but I'm hoping that as we kind of go in this next stretch here with 5 games left in the season, that we can really get into our bench a little bit more. I think that our depth is something that's a positive for us. And so, yes, we have some younger guys, but we had younger guys last year, and they just had to step up and play through some mistakes and everything like that. And I think, we're seeing the fruits of their labor this year. We saw it last year, but now just a year older and how much more confident and comfortable they are on the floor and what we're trying to do. And so, trying to get Kelsey and Sophie in some more. Liz,
Yeah.
coming in both games, and really, I think that was a huge confidence booster for her. And Mac was awesome off the bench today while I was starting, and then coming back in. Really hoping her length, and that Tanisha, gave us great minutes last year. And so, I think we have some options that can help us spell some other folks, especially when we're in this, kind of this longer stretch, and hopefully keep the momentum going, and then we can kind of reset and get ready for Patriot League tournament.
It's crazy thinking about all this depth that you've talked about, and then thinking about 2 years ago when like it was like six person rotations through like the big stretch of the season. It's a big change.
Exactly. And it's consistently playing two kids 40 minutes a night.
My question was similar to Ethan's, and it was like the majority of your season has been these like back-to-back games every weekend. How was your team dealing with that back-to-back pressure, playing both games?
Yeah, so I tried to frame it this weekend as kind of like, we want to win the war. And so each of these are little mini battles, right? So you can win the battle, but you don't win the war. It's kind of that phrase I was trying to pay homage to. And so I told them, okay, yesterday was one battle, but if we don't win this battle today, then we don't win the war. And so they really kind of embraced that, that each of these weekends are mini wars that we're going to fight. And we've got to bring all of our equipment, we got to bring all of our artillery, we got to be able to go into our pocket and get everything we have in our bench, and be able to use that. And so I think they really embrace that. And the reality is this year has been like unlike anything that I've ever experienced, they've ever experienced. And so I don't know that we can necessarily always prepare for it. I think what we've really tried to do is just take each day as it comes, and do the best that we can during that day. And then, if we have to pivot, we pivot. My kids have been really phenomenal about kind of taking things in stride. I know it's been challenging for them. This is not easy by any stretch of imagination, nor is it for our staff. But the alternative is we don't play, and we lose our minds. And I don't mean we'll lose our minds from not playing. I think we could also just lose our minds over the fact of all the changes. And it's like, well, that's not effective either. So, I appreciate all the sacrifices that everybody here at BU and our administration, facilities people, you all continue to cover. I mean, it's been definitely all hands on deck. But it's been awesome for, in a worldwide pandemic, that our kids still have an opportunity to compete and play the game that they love.
My last question for you, Coach, and I meant to ask you this yesterday, I forgot, but you guys are playing Lift Every Voice and Sing now at every home game. Obviously, yesterday was the first time. What did it feel like to have that play in a game setting?
Yeah, so I had brought it to our administration, and for Black History Month, they said, this song has so much meaning to me, to Black people in our country, and there's such a history there that a lot of folks, whether they're student athletes or even adults, are unaware of. And so I was really happy that not only did we play it, but that in the read that we kind of gave some history, some context to who wrote it and when it was played and why and all of those things. And so it was emotional, to be honest. I think Alicia Keys does a great rendition, but you know, to me, it's just to be completely honest with you, yesterday when it played, it really struck me like I have this shirt that says I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams. And for me as a Black woman to be standing at a predominantly white institution, coaching basketball, you know, and getting to lead a program, you know, I have so many different intersectionalities between my race and my gender, and all of those things. I'm mixed race, right? Like there's a lot of things that I bring to the table. And for me to be able to stand here and do this thing that I love, is only on the shoulders of my ancestors and people who sacrificed and were treated so horrendously. And so when you hear that, you know, it's just, it really, it's incredible that in 2021, we're still fighting, but that at the same time, you know, the idea of till victory is won, we have not won yet, but we're still continuing to fight, and I'm happy to be a part of it.